Oh, hey, what up, everybody? This is Shorty Rachel. I hope all of y'all is having a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day. I was just wondering, right? Because I uploaded a video yesterday, but the audio didn't turn out okay. First, they deleted my live. I don't know what the heck happened. It paused, it just froze on me in the middle of me doing everything. And then the second time, something was wrong with the audio, right? So now, let's hope this one comes out all right. I asked a question on Facebook, and what I did it in the form of a quiz, and whoever got the question right would get a free Writers for Life T-shirt shipped for them, free of charge, free of shipment, and everything. So let's see how this turns out on Facebook, and see how many people have tested their noggins. So my question to y'all is, how many of y'all know that there were 8 presidents? There were 8 men actually that held the title of president before George Washington. How many of y'all knew that? And how many of y'all are just learning about this now? So, as most of y'all know, we have 46 presidents, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read y'all the 46 presidents in their terms, and then I'm gonna read to y'all the 8 men that held the title of president before Washington in their terms and what they did. So let's start with with the one that everybody knows. Number one, first president of the United States of America, George Washington, 1789 to 1797. Number two, John Adams, 1797 to 1801. Number three, Thomas Jefferson, 1801 to 1809. Number four, James Madison, 1809 to 1817. Number five, James Monroe, 1817 to 1825. Six, John Quincy Adams, 1825 to 1829. Seven, Andrew Jackson, 1829 to 1837. Eight, Martin Van Buren. I hope I said it right, or Van Buren, 1837 to 1841. Number nine, William Harrison, 1841. Number 10, John Tyler, 1841 to 1845. 11, James K. Polk, 1845 to 1849. Number 12, Zachary Taylor, 1849 to 1850. 13, Miller Fillmore, 1850 to 1853. 14, Franklin Pierce, 1853 to 1857. 15, James Buchanan or Buchanan, however you say his name, y'all know, whatever, 1857 to 1861. 16, Abraham Lincoln, 1861 to 1865. And guys, the reason I said whatever to the 15th president, James Buchanan, whatever his name is, listen, I ain't name him. I can't pronounce his last name. I hope I said it right. Um, Buchanan, whatever. But let's get back into it. 17, Andrew Johnson, 1865 to 1869. 18, Ulysses, whatever, S. Grant, 1869 to 1877. 19, Woodford B. Hayes, Rutherford, whatever. I can't pronounce some of their names, sorry. B. Hayes, 1877 to 1881. 20, James A. Gerald, 1881 to 1881. 21, Chester A. Arthur, 1881 to 1885. 22, Grover Cleveland, 1885 to 1889. 23, Benjamin Harrison, 1889 to 1893. 24, Grover Cleveland again, 1893 to 1897. 25, William McKinley, 1897 to 1901. 26, Theodore Roosevelt, 1901 to 1909. 27, William Howard Taft, 1909 to 1913. 28, Woodrow Wilson, 1913 to 1921. 29, Warren G. Harding, 1921 to 1923. 30, Calvin Coolidge, 1923 to 1929. 31, Herbert Hoover, 1929 to 1933. 32. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1933 to 1945. 33. Harry S. Truman, 1945 to 1953. 34. Dwight Eisenhower, 1953 to 1961. 35. John F. Kennedy, 1961 to 1963. 36. Lyndon D. Johnson, 1963 to 1969. 37. Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974. 38. Gerald Ford, 1974 to 1977. 39. Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981. 40. Ronald Reagan, 1981 to 1989. 41. George H.W. Bush, 1989 to 1993. 42. Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001. 43. George W. Bush, 2001 to 2009. 44. Barack Obama, 2009 to 2017. 45. Donald Trump, 2017 to 2021. 46. Current President Joe Biden, 2021, right? Now, for those of you that don't believe me, I suggest go do your own research. It's on Google. It's also in the history books because that's what kind of gave me the idea. I was reading a history book for my son, and I came across something that just kind of like made me think, like, wait a minute. They talk about there being a president before George Washington, but they also mention other presidents in this book before George Washington. So I decided to Google it up, and it turns out that there were eight presidents before, eight men that held the title as president before George Washington, right? So it turns out, but when you also Google it says 14 presidents, and in reality, what they mean by the 14 presidents is the 14 first presidents of the United States is what they mentioned there, which starts off with George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Harrison, John Taylor, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce being the 14th president. But before these presidents, there was John Hanson, and his term was from 1721 to 1783. Elias Boldenick, hope I said it right, 1782 to 1783. Thomas Mifflin, 1783 to 1784. Richard Henry Lee, 1784 to 1785. John Hancock, 1785 to 1786. Nathan Gorham, 1786 to 1787. Arthur St. Clair, 1787 to 1788. Cyrus Griffin, 1788 to 1789. Now, as you can see, 1789 was when George Washington became the first president of the United States, right? And some of these names may sound familiar because we have done essays on them when we was younger. A lot of us forgot what we was taught, but a lot of us wasn't taught everything. We was taught half of history, guys, right? So let me tell you a little something about who these eight men were before George Washington. John Hanson, born April 13, 1721, Charles County, MD, died November 22nd, 1783. Oxon Hill, MD, U.S., American Revolutionary leader and president under the U.S. Article of Confederation. A member of the Maryland Assembly, 1757 to 1779. He represented Maryland in the Continental Congress from 1780 to 1782. So as y'all can see, this was way before George Washington. November 15, 1783, Hanson was a merchant and a public official from Maryland. During the era of the American Revolution in 1779, Hanson was elected as a delegate to the Continental Congress after serving in a variety of roles for the Patriot cause in Maryland. So that's a little history for y'all, for those of y'all that didn't know. Now let's go to the second one. Elias Burdenet, May 2nd, 1774 to October 24, 1821. Burdenet was a lawyer and a statesman from Elizabeth, New Jersey, who was a delegate to the Continental Congress, more accurately referred to as the Congress of the Confederation, and served as President of Congress from 1782 to 1783. As y'all heard, the second president of Congress, Confederation of Congress, whatever they want to call it. Thomas Mifflin. Prior to the American independence, Thomas Mifflin was a member of the Pennsylvania Provision, Proven, Provincial Provincial Assembly. My bad. 1772 to 1776, he served two terms in the Continental Congress, 1774 to 1775, and 1782 to 1784, including 7 months. November 1783 to June 1784, as that body's president officer. Richard Henry Lee. Richard Henry Lee was an American statesman from Virginia who made the motion known as the Lee Resolution for independence from Great Britain. On June 7, 1776, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia proposed independence for the American colonies. By introducing this resolution in the Second Continental Congress on June 11th, Tom Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. So basically, these were the founders of our president. These were presidents before the presidents. It's crazy. John Hancock. It's crazy because I did an essay when I was younger about him. It's crazy it took for me to read something on my son's history book to trigger that. John Hancock, born January 12, 1737. Braintree, known as Quincy, Massachusetts. Died October 8, 1793, in Quincy, Massachusetts. American statesman who was a leading figure during the Revolutionary War and the first signer of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. American Revolution leader John Hancock, 1737 to 1793, was a signer of the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and a governor of Massachusetts. He was president of the Second Continental Congress from 1755 to 1777, when the Declaration of Independence was adopted and the United States was born. Damn, the United States was actually born in 1777, huh? Nathan Graham, May 27, 1738 to June 11, 1796. His first name is sometimes spelled Nathaniel. Was a politician and a merchant from Massachusetts. He was a delegate from Massachusetts to the Continental Congress and for 6 months served as the presiding officer at that body. He also attended the Constitutional Convention, served on its Committee of Detail, and was one of the signers of the United States Constitution on September 17, 1787 in Philadelphia, PA. Arthur St. Clair, March 23rd, 1737 to 1736. Wait. Something else. Okay. March 23rd, 1736 to 1737. August 31st to August 31st, 1818. St. Clair was a Scottish-American soldier and a politician born in Thurles, Scotland. He served in the British Army during the French and Indian War before settling in Pennsylvania, where he held local office during the American Revolutionary War. He rose to the rank of Major General in the Constitutional Army, but lost his command after a controversial retreat from Fort Ticonderoga. I can't pronounce that. After the war, he served as president of the Constitutional Congress, which during his term passed the Northwest Ordinance. He was made governor of the Northwest Territory in 1783, and then the portion that would become Ohio in 1800. In 1791, St. Clair commanded the American forces in what was the United States' worst ever defeat by the Native Americans politically out of the step with the Jefferson administration. He was replaced as governor in 1802. Cyrus Griffin. Cyrus Griffin, July 16, 1748, December 14, 1810. A Virginia lawyer and politician, was the final president of Congress of the Confederation and the first United States District Judge of the United States District Court of Virginia. As y'all as y'all hear, Cyrus Griffin was the last president of Congress of Confederation and the first United States District Judge of the United States District Court of Virginia. So for those of y'all that didn't know that there were 8 men that held the title of president before Washington became president of the United States. This is y'all history. And even when we was growing up, we heard of John Hanson being the first president before George Washington, and I guess a lot of us ignored that when they want to pay attention. But guys, this is a little history for those of y'all that, you know, still think that George Washington was the first president of the United States. So as y'all can see, this is how the presidents became about. This is how they came. Like, this is how they became. This is how all this became. And as y'all can see, the United States wasn't born until 1777 and 1775. I mean, between 1775 and 1777, and it's crazy because in 1779, that's when George Washington became president. But before that, 8 men held the title of President of Congress. Guys, just a little knowledge, a little food for thought for those of you. And for those of you that don't believe me, go do your research, read it up. It's in the history books itself. It's on Google when you search it. Each one, it'll tell you about each man that held the title of president before George Washington, and it's crazy. So if we have 46 presidents, right now, right, 46, and there was 8 men that held the title before these 46 presidents. So that would make it 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. That would mean that in reality we've had 54 presidents in the United States since the United States was born. Maybe I'm tripping, but we're stuck with 46. That's what everybody wants to believe. That's what everybody thinks. But I do my research before I talk, so I suggest y'all go do your research. Look it up, guys. For those of you that didn't know, and for those of you that did know and are learning, we need to talk about it a little more. We need to re-educate our kids because these schools probably are teaching certain things that are right, but they're not teaching our history the right way. Not 100%. Like, a lot of our founding fathers were African American, and they don't tell us that. But till next time, this is y'all Shorty Rachel. I hope all of y'all have a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day.